Hello, my name is Ofundem, and I am a sewist, a crocheter, a knitter, and a boarding shoemaker. I started making my own shoes about 6 months ago, and I have made 26 shoes up to date. A lot of my followers of Instagram have asked me how I make my shoes, and I think it will be easier to share with everyone who's interested by making a YouTube video. Today, I'll be sharing with you how I make my clogs. Now, I am not a professional shoemaker. I've never been in school for shoemaking. I took a shoemaking course, an awesome course, but I can make shoes.com, and they're awesome. But the things I learned from them has actually helped me to make pretty much a lot of different types of shoes. Clog making, I had to do a lot of research myself, and I found barely any video online. There was no video actually online that was for someone making their own clogs at home. I found 2 videos, and they were all commercial videos. Well, the stuff I learned from the commercial videos helped me make my own clogs at home. I had to figure out how to make. They use really big machines to be able to make clogs, to have the nice shape that they have, and I had to figure out how to make it at home myself without hardly any machine, and I'll show you how I do that. So this is not, I do not claim to be a professional in clog making. I just want to show you how I made my clogs at home. The clogs I would like to show you are how to make this pair of clogs, which I made about a month ago, and I wear them almost daily because they're very comfortable, very soft, and they look pretty professionally made. There's not a lot of people who make their own shoes at home, and I think my job, what I try to do is pretty much demystifying shoemaking, because most people think that it is something that you have to have a lot of machines or a lot of different tools to make. Yes, there's a lot of small tools, which are all, you can purchase every one of them on Amazon, and there's supplies that you end up getting from all over the world, but in the end, you get your supplies and you can make all the shoes you want at home. So, without much to say, I'll move on to shoe supplies. The first thing you need is your leather. Today I'm using vegetarian leather, which it's really good for clogs because it molds pretty well and gives the shape that you need, and definitely lasts a long time. I buy all my leather from buyleatheronline.com, which is an Italian company, and I purchase different colors of vegetarian to use for clog making, and I'll be using that today. I also use another piece of leather, which is pretty soft, that I like to have at the border, because for my shoemaking, comfort is definitely the most important thing. Fit and comfort. I also, this is optional, but I do like to add insole to my leather soles, to my clog soles, and therefore I do use an insole. This is high density EVA foam I use on the insole and cover it up with soft leather for comfort. Other tools you will use are some tape, hammer to hammer in your tag nails, and I have a couple of tag nails here. I'll be using these small tag nails, which I purchased from Amazon.com. The little reason why I'll be using this is because my clog glass has a groove that this will fit well on. You need something for cutting, and here I have a knife, a rotary cutter, and a scissors. You can pick whichever you like. I do like to cut with my hands because I'm really trying to train myself to cut in a straight line. So if I can do it, I don't need a lot of machines. It's not perfect, but I also would just not like to purchase things that cut for me. I would like to be able to learn how to cut in a straight line myself. Other things you'll need are some tape. You'll need, most importantly, the clog sole. This one I purchased from omes.com at Etsy, and it's pretty. They sell 6 sets for I think $46 plus shipping. That's about $60. So you end up paying about $110 for 6 pairs, which is pretty. I think it's pretty cheap. Last but not the least is your shoe last. This shoe last I purchased from Etsy as well, from a store I think it's called Home. I will list, I cannot remember right now. I'll put the link below. And this is what I use to mold the clogs with. I got a size smaller, that way it gives me room enough to be able to place a nail behind it to give the pressure I need to be able to to be able to mold the clogs. The first and the most important part of the clog making is making your design. To do this, I use paper, my foot, and the clog sole. So I attach 2 pieces of paper with a tape. And this is so that it's long enough to go around the clogs continuously to give my circumference of, or my perimeter of the clog. At the end of this, I do attach some masking tape. So I put a masking tape which I glue to the clog so I can know exactly where it sits. You can just use a whole strip all the way around. It doesn't matter how you place this, as long as it goes all around so you can stick to the clog base. Next, I place my foot in the clog I'm going to use, which is the appropriate size for me. And then using the paper I just prepared, I put it all the way around the clog, like I want it to sit on the edge. So I get the length of the clog. Then I mark where it stops. There. And then mark it on the other side where I want it to end. So then I bring it back onto the table where I have my piece. This is my measurement for the circumference or the perimeter of my clogs. And I measure the line right there. And you could just fold the tape over it so it doesn't stick to everything. And then I just cut that piece. So you cut that piece, you cut a strip. I usually just cut along the tape line. So I have the length of my piece. Now I take another piece of paper and then I place this on there. So I try to get the middle point so I know where the middle of my point is, because I create both sides pretty much the same, and I get like a center of the clogs, and then I place it in an arc form. I'm going to use the edge of my paper as the end of my clogs. So pretty much, I mean, you can have it wider if you want, but I just kind of get it's like an arc shape like this. Now how wide it is, I just kind of, you can measure the distance of your foot and get this length across, and then that you can place here so you get the length of how wide you're gonna start with. So I want to put that down. So let me show you how you will do that with the distance across your foot. So here's my foot, and I'm gonna take the tape and place it across here where I want my clogs to end. Place it there, and there, and that gives me the length of how much I want across. Now you simply bring it back to the table and place the tape on one end and adjust the distance on this end. It actually just fits perfectly. And now you're going to go ahead and draw your line across for your rough draft of your pattern. So the next step, I'm going to use a pencil to trace around the arch shape, a rough draft of my clog pattern. So I'm just gonna trace a little so I can take it off and finish tracing. So now I'm just gonna take it off from both sides, and I am going to finish tracing as best as I can, sort of an arc shape that's about the size of my piece that I had here. So it's not perfect, but you can see it looks sort of a semicircle. So then what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go ahead and cut around this line that we just drew. You could also actually add, I think it's best, you could do it later or you could do it now, add about I'll say half centimeter allowance, just so you have enough to last around your clog sole. So here I am going to draw, I usually would just estimate about 1 centimeter. Or you can use half centimeter, what you're comfortable with, around the clogs to give it enough room so you have enough to last around. You are still going to be pulling really tight around the clog edge, so you don't want to give it too much down here. I typically would just give almost nothing at the edge here because I don't want to give it too much room so I don't last enough and have it too loose. So it just tapers down here. So what I have is my like this. I'm gonna go ahead and cut around the outer edge of my tracing here. I usually make both sides the same, so I cut and then I fold it and I even out both sides. Now this is not any science, I'm sure there's better ways to do this, so I'm going to fold around my edge here. And since I added some, I have room to remove. So here you see this extra, there's an extra piece right here. You can see there's an extra piece right here. I'm just going to go ahead and shave that off. I'm going to shave that off. Here's my clogs that folded in half. I'm going to the next step is to create the clog shape. Draw a piece across here. I usually add a band in the end so it makes up for what I take off here. So kind of, so you get something like that. And that's the shape of your clogs. And I'll go ahead and cut that off while it's folded. And here you have the completed clog pattern, and typically I will add a strip around the edge here, which I use for comfort. Next step is to apply some masking tape at the edges of the clog pattern so we can try it on and see if it fits and make adjustments that are necessary. So I'm gonna go ahead and put masking tape so it sticks to the clog sole when you try it on. So I'll just apply masking tape all around here. Now I have my masking tape all around it, and I'm gonna take it and put it on my foot and see if it fits, and I'll show you how I'll adjust it if it doesn't. Here's my clog. So on the ground, now I'll place that first, and then I'm gonna try to fit my foot in there and see how that fits. This is the most important part because adjustments always need to be made. Now I put my foot in there. You can find that there's a big space right here. Now you don't want that because when you put your clogs on your last, it's gonna expand it some more. So if you already have the space, for one, your last is gonna just sit in there, it won't mold it. And second of all, it's gonna be too big for you. So what I do is I fold this piece over. So this is what I do. I fold this piece over. Fold this piece over. And put a tape right there. So now it fits me perfectly. If I cut this out, I put my last in it, it should be able to expand it more so it fits me perfectly. So this is the right size. So I'm gonna take my foot out quietly and then I'm gonna put it back on the table. To bring this back to the table to make our final pattern. So to do this, I fold the tapes around the edge to remove all the extras added by the tape. So you go around and just fold them. It also gives a solid edge to be able to draw around, which is great. So I remove all the extras that are added with the tape here. Then I get a new piece of paper. I place my pattern over that paper and retrace it. So I'm going to place my pattern over the paper and retrace it. So I'm going to trace along the folded edge. You can see to give the final pattern that I'll be using to make the clogs. So there, trace there, and fold around here, and trace around here. Okay, so this is my final pattern. Go ahead and just trace it again. It doesn't have to be perfect because remember when you are pulling the leather over your last, there will be some excess left in the edge that you trim off to the shape of your last. Here. Then now I'm going to cut out my final version. To use for cutting out the leather pattern. I mean, excuse me, for cutting out the leather. You want to cut as smoothly as you can. Gonna reshape it so both sides are even. So here's my final pattern that I'll be using to cut out to give my clogs.